Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here today. Always good to spend Sundays with you all. I do it a lot. Well, in the story we just heard that Jesus told, he said that he made some people really angry. And then it says he also confused a lot of people too. So the people he made angry when he said, listen, it's not what you eat or whether you wash your hands before you eat. That doesn't really offend God or hurt you. It's not what you put into your mouth and whether how clean it is. That doesn't really upset God or doesn't really mess you up. He said it's what comes out of you, not what you put in, that really can cause trouble. And that made the people angry who were really interested in following a lot of the holiness laws about how to eat and what to eat. Because he said, what you're teaching people makes no sense. So they got angry at him. But then his own followers, he confused them, because then they said, well, what did you really mean by all that inner stuff from the heart? And he said, how is it that you guys don't understand either? Are you still without understanding? So Jesus says, it's from your heart that things come out of your mouth. And if your heart is not right or out of balance or just in the wrong place, well, then your actions will follow from that. If you could get the heart in the right place, then your actions will be okay. It's much easier to say, though, than to do, because a lot of things enter our hearts and then they come out. Oftentimes when you're under pressure, actually, or under stress, then your outward mask kind of falls away and your outward persona cannot hold up to the pressure, and then whatever's inside really comes out in a rush. Easy enough to demonstrate this if you drive with me. If you're ever driving with me and I feel it's necessary to be the commentator on the world's driving abilities, then you'll find what's on the inside of my heart, which is funny, but it's not that funny. It's easy to be the priest in the white robe on Sunday morning and say nice things to nice people. If you put me under pressure and I'm late for a meeting and I got to get to the store and then I got to get to that and then I didn't like what that person did, well, now we will see what's inside, right? You will see what's inside. I think the same thing is being kind of exemplified and being demonstrated in a sad way, not in a funny way. In the town in Ferguson, Missouri right now, where the young black teenager was killed. And there's a lot of questions about whether he was killed by accident or unjustly, or what exactly happened. And so a whole lot of the town has come out to demonstrate and say, we want to know what happened because this looks horrible. Looks like he was an innocent man that was killed by the police. Nobody really knows what happened just yet, but the town is really upset. So they have been out in the streets to demonstrate and to call for justice. But then when night falls, and under the cover of the crowd and all the emotion, some few people in the crowd, seems to me, they are demonstrating what's deep in their hearts, because now they begin to loot things and break into people's stores, which has nothing to do with whether the person who got killed was innocent or not. So, under the cover of the crowd and the emotion and the cover of darkness, what's in the very heart of those people may poke out. And they say, I've always wanted that stuff in the store, and I'm mad anyway, and I think I'll go get that. Under the pressure, what's in the inside comes out. I saw a movie recently. It was a rerun for me. I watched it on Netflix. It's called, I forgot my cheat sheet with. No, it's called In Pursuit of Happiness. It wasn't a big blockbuster movie, but Will Smith was in it. And he played the character whose name was Chris Gardner. Chris Gardner. And it's supposed to be a true story, at least the basis of it. And Chris Gardner was a salesperson who was selling a product that was not very saleable. Okay? And he's married, he's young, in his 20s, maybe mid-20s, never went to college, but apparently extremely bright. And he cannot sell his product, which is a medical device. Nobody wants to buy it. And he's put his life savings and his family's savings on the line to sell this product. He can't sell it. His family is getting poorer and poorer by the month. They're getting deeper in debt. Can't pay his rent. Under the stress, his wife is working 2 and 3 shifts at a low-paying job. They have a child about 4 or 5 years old. Child goes to daycare while dad tries to sell product. So in this true story, Chris Gardner says, I'm going to try my best to sell this stuff. And I'm also going to try and get a better job. And he refuses to give up. In the process, his wife decides to leave because she can't handle the stress. And it breaks up their marriage. And he gets kicked out of the house because he can't pay the rent. He moves into a hotel. A day, pay by the day hotel. He can't pay the daily hotel anymore either. He gets kicked out of the hotel, spends a night in the subway bathroom with his 5-year-old. He's under serious pressure. He gets in line, the huge long line, to get into the homeless shelter so he can have a place for his child while he continues to sell his product. And he decides he's going to try and do an internship with a brokerage firm to sell stock because he's really bright, good with numbers, good with people, but he has no training. The internship pays no money. So he has to work the internship and sell his product. And the people who make it out of the internship, one person will get to be a broker. 1 out of 20-some people. Chances are slim. But he goes and he works his month after month in the brokerage firm, passes the test after studying the manual, gets all kinds of clients to sign up with his company. Under this intense pressure, I kept waiting for him to break. I kept waiting for his inside to come out. I kept waiting for him to explode either at his son or at his boss or at a client or do something crazy to get him in more trouble because he's under massive pressure, living in a homeless shelter with his 5-year-old, trying to learn a job that he probably won't get. And it comes down to the last day. He passes his test. I'll tell you, it's an old movie, so I don't think I'll be spoiling too much. It says when he went in for his initial interview, he was late for the interview because he missed the bus. And he also had been painting his apartment in order to help pay for the rent. And he came to the initial interview without a shirt on. Not a good way to start off with the boss. At the closing interview, he says, I thought I'd come for this interview with a shirt on. And they say, congratulations, you have passed the internship. We have chosen you to work for our firm. Can you show up tomorrow? He says, yes, I can. At the end of the movie, they show an epilogue of what happened to him. Turns out he went to work for the company. Then he went to work for himself, started his own brokerage firm, and sold his share in the firm for millions of dollars. And I kept waiting for him to break throughout the whole movie. It turns out, though, the only thing that was in him that was going to come out, the only thing that was deep inside of him was courage, relentlessness, unbelievable persistence. He was going to do this, and he did. What was inside of him, under pressure, it did come out. It really did. Inside of his heart was great persistence, relentless commitment to his child and his family, and he was going to get this job. Sometimes when you go deep within your heart, you find what is really good in there, and that comes out as well. So Jesus says, whatever happens, however you live your life, the outside stuff doesn't matter that much. The externals don't really matter. What really matters is what's in your heart. And can you let that come out? That will be important. It's funny, whenever you hear about a famous crime or something happens that's kind of spectacular in the news, people wonder about whether how that person got to be that way. How did that action get into their heart? And they go back and they say, well, maybe all of that person's exposure to violence in a movie made them a violent person. Or maybe they spent too much time online or in front of game consoles where there's just violence everywhere. Like when people watch, what is that stuff called? Give me an example, Gloria. You do a lot of video games.
Minecraft.
What's it called? Minecraft? What's the one like has one or two? It's like, Grand Theft Auto. Where people get blown up and shot all the time. People steal things. It's relentlessly sexual. And they say, well, maybe he watched too much Minecraft or Grand Theft Auto or too much movies. Because it's kind of intuitive. What you put in, constantly bombard yourself from without, it can get into your heart. And so people wonder, maybe you put too much junk in and it finally came out. I think that's the same big problem essentially with pornography. You put all that stuff in your head, gosh, it comes out. Sometimes it lodges in your heart, and then it comes out in ways you don't want. So Jesus says, guard your heart, pay attention to your heart, and then the rest will follow. The youth group here at church is about to start a new book study and a new realm of study this coming fall. It's from a book many of you have heard already called 7 Habits. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Well, the guy's son wrote a sequel to the book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. And it's all about how teens can live a more successful life in terms of their relationships and school and parents and peer pressure and all kinds of stuff. One of the quotes in the book says this in the early chapter. It says, if you sow, meaning like cast seed on the ground so that it grows up, if you sow a thought, you will reap an action. If you sow the action, you will reap a habit. If you sow a habit, you will reap character. You sow that character, you will reap your destiny. Everything starts from the inside, from your first thought, then your habit, then it becomes part of your inner character, and then your inner character makes a life. The good news is, I think, that everybody has the chance to decide what goes in, what you take in to your heart, and then you also have the chance to change it. You can reprogram the heart, watching what goes in and then also replacing what's in there already if you don't like it. That's the great gift of being a human being. We have the possibility to choose and to decide what we keep in our heart. So I've tried this. This is true. This is not just a preacher story. This is true. I decided when I drive the car, I will try to drive peacefully, no matter what. We'll see. But I'm going to try and put something peaceful in the heart so that what comes out when I drive is peaceful. Jesus says, whatever you have on the outside, how you dress, what you do for rituals, what you do for other people, not that important to God. He said what's really important is what's in the heart. For out of the heart proceeds all kinds of things like bad intentions and murder and adultery and theft and bad things. So be careful what's in your heart. If you don't like it, you can change it. But whatever's on the inside will come out. And I'll end with this. The very best thing, besides the fact you can change what's in the heart, I believe that everyone is created with the original equipment, with inherent in your DNA, deep down in the heart, is God. He said you are made in the image of God, you are children of God. If you go down deep enough, you will find goodness. Let that come out of your heart. Sometimes it's covered up with a lot of other stuff, but at the deepest level, you are made in the image of God. Let's go down deep within the heart, and then let the beauty of God and the goodness of God come out. It's the heart that is important, not what's on the outside. I offer this to you in God's name, God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.